Whether the violence in Afghanistan and Iraq can be brought to an end anytime soon is a question on many people's minds. Nora Bensahel is a senior political scientist at the RAND Corporation and an expert on American efforts in Afghanistan and Iraq. And she joins us from Washington. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Many people, of course, are wondering, has our involvement in Iraq and in Afghanistan, in terms of lives lost and money spent, been worth it? And I guess the question to you is, has it?
Well, I think that the two conflicts are very different and have had different sets of objectives. The war in Afghanistan is very clearly tied to what happened on September 11th, 2001. Those attacks were coordinated and planned from Afghan territory, and so the objectives of that operation have really been to ensure that there is no more Taliban presence in the country that can facilitate something like that happening again. Iraq is a much murkier question. After the invasion and the initial rationale for the war didn't seem to hold up with the lack of weapons of mass destruction being found, it became a very different situation there. The real question there for the future is the extent to which the Iraqi government is going to be able to stand on its own feet.
All right, well, let's deal with Afghanistan first. The Obama administration has said that it's going to measure progress using what are called metrics. First of all, what are they, and what do you see as the most important metrics?
The objective that President Obama has set out in March 2009, after a strategy review that was conducted after coming into office, said that U.S. objectives in Afghanistan should be to counter terrorism and counter the insurgency that is being led by the Taliban. What that really means is that the Afghan government has to be able to control its own territory, and at the moment it doesn't. The southern part of the country has largely been absent. International forces have largely been absent from the south since the beginning of military operations there, and so that has been the real focus of military efforts there in the past couple of months.
What would you see as a satisfactory result or end point for the U.S. mission in Afghanistan?
I think that a satisfactory endpoint is having the Afghan government be able to control its own territory. I think that that is an objective which the president has stated very clearly, and without that, there's no guarantee that other folks, including the Taliban, al-Qaeda remnants, so on and so forth, won't be able to come back in and establish a safe haven for operations.
All right, well then, let's go back to today's bombings in Iraq. These attacks have increased in recent weeks. Is that a sign that not much has really changed there?
The fact that the attacks have increased in recent weeks was predicted by U.S. security forces and analysts looking at the situation, because U.S. forces had agreed to pull out of the major Iraqi cities at the end of June. And it was anticipated that as soon as the U.S. forces went away, that the insurgents in Iraq would try to target Iraqi security forces as a way of showing the weakness of the Iraqi government and trying to advance their own political agenda. If these types of attacks continue on for a prolonged period of time, say over months, I think it will reveal something about the Iraqi government's capacity. But I think for now, what it reveals is that there are some folks in the insurgency who are disaffected with the Iraqi government, who are trying to challenge it and using these attacks as a way of demonstrating a lack of government capacity.
Nora Bensahel, I'm sorry we're out of time. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.